If you're a little bit different and you want to stand out a little bit, well, definitely consider this. My name is Jimmy and this is the 2025 Lincoln Aviator. With about 2,000 of them sold last year here in Canada or about 25,000 in the US, it's not likely you're going to find someone in your neighborhood that has the same vehicle. So let's discover why in this video, well, why you may want to consider this. Starting with the looks, well, let's go over some of the new things for 2025. The Aviator, this generation anyways, was introduced back in 2020, so it is a 5-year-old model now. With a little bit of nip tuck, they moved the turn signals up, integrating it with the headlight. The grille is now larger with a different front bumper. This is the top reserve trim with the 201A package and the black appearance package and basically all the options you can stack on. It definitely looks a little different than your box standard Aviator. 22-inch wheels on the side here. All the chrome on the side has been removed in favor of the blacked out trim. The door handles, they don't actually move. They are stationary door handles. You get an electronic opener just on the back of it, making it a little bit fancy. Around back, well, you're not going to notice too many changes here. The rear bumper has been redesigned a bit and that's really it. I think it's still a good looking vehicle, but what you have to know is in 2025, the Navigator is brand new. Same thing with that Nautilus, and well, it just doesn't really fit in with those. The front headlights and the rear taillights, well, in the other vehicles, they have full-on light bars. It just doesn't have that same look. That being said, I gotta admit, because of the air suspension that this has, when dumped, it looks absolutely amazing. It just looks like a really pretty wagon to me. Opening the trunk is relatively easy. There's a button right here that is indicated with a little symbol. There's a decent amount of space behind the third row, and there's a little bit of underfloor storage as well, so you can stow a bit more underneath if you need. Let's check out what's inside. Space in the third row is all right. I mean, headroom is fine, but my legs, they're right against the second row here. This is moved kind of in the middle of its tracks to give, well, space for whoever is in the second row and maybe a little bit of space whoever's back here. Definitely not the place I want to be as an adult, but for little kids, should be all right. You do get vents on the side, so at least you get that, as well as some USB-C ports on that side, because you don't get any on this side. And the plastics back here, like, I get it. This is like the trunk kind of side of the Aviator, but this is more Fisher Price than Lincoln. But let's move up front because I am not comfortable. Ugh. Moving up from economy class that's in the third row to kind of like the business class, let's be honest, of the second row. Headroom, legroom, plentiful. No issues with that. The seats are heated, they're cooled. They're controlled with the screen here in the center, which is a little bit finicky to use, but I feel like for most adults, that should be fine. And they're far away enough so that your kiddos, if they're in a child seat, they shouldn't be able to reach that. Nor would they be able to reach the buttons on the middle to control the panoramic roof. The center console is quite nice. You got your cup holders here. You still have your bottle holders in the door pocket, so there's that. But this gives you a nice separation and you still get your armrests right here to make sure that you're nice and comfortable. If you're thinking of fitting kiddos in your Aviator, well, good news, you can get a bench version. But aspect here, rear-facing seats are best left for the second row. Forward-facing seats can fit in the third row, but they are going to be a little bit tight. You get 4 sets of lower anchors with all 4 of these rear seats here, and you also get 4 upper anchors. But let's move up to first class. Sitting up here, it indeed is first class. The seats themselves are almost infinitely adjustable. You can have the backrest the way you want it. You can even have the thigh support with one extended and one not, depending on how you like to be comfortable. They're heated, they're cooled, and they're massaging. Great for long drives. And it's not just like a little lumbar massage. This is not like a full-on massage chair that you may have at home, but this is really, really good for a vehicle. And I mean, it's just superbly comfortable. It really is. In front, you got a pretty typical steering wheel, all the D-pad buttons that you normally would find, but the activation for the assistant is just a little bit higher up, making you having to adjust your hand to reach that, which is a little bit awkward. But what's maybe more awkward is just some of the buttons, because you have to press a button to reveal more of them. But those buttons aren't on the face, they're in the back. So you tap the back to activate, well, some of the cruise control stuff. It's a little weird. Most people will get used to it. Behind, digital cluster looks really great. Different modes and different screens, no real issues there. Heads-up display is also really, really good. Full color heads-up display as well shows you plenty of information, and it's nice and wide to show you a lot of details there. You almost don't even need to look down at the cluster because of that. The main infotainment has been updated. It's now backed by Google, so you have full assistant in here. You can download apps into here. It even has a fireplace built into it. But sadly, you can't use the fireplace while you're driving. That is locked while moving. I get it, but it's just a fireplace. Who's like just driving and staring at that? Maybe it's just because, well, it's an app and they want to lock it up, but I kind of feel like, give me the fireplace while I'm driving. It's a Lincoln after all. Moving down from that, that's where you have your shifter and you have some physical controls, including a really nice volume knob here on the left. You do miss out on the dedicated climate control of the yesteryears. That's all now baked into the bottom of the screen, but you know what? I get it. It's more or less there and it's not difficult to use, so I wouldn't say that's a huge complaint. What I will say though is, once again, kind of like the exterior, the Aviator is just playing catch up here. And unlike the Nautilus and the Navigator, where you just get this expansive display, you don't get that here. Some may find that as a positive and some may find that as a negative. It just comes down to if you like large displays in your vehicle or not. But this looks like, well, this just looks like the last generation comparing to the Nautilus and the Navigator, which is a little bit more up to date. That said though, the interior materials is high quality. The leather that's on this side, the stitching is really good. Even the speaker grills are very, very pretty. But let's talk a little bit about the powertrain before we go for a drive. For 2025, you can't get it in the hybrid anymore. Aviator comes standard with this 3-liter twin turbocharged V6. It makes 400 horsepower, 415 pound-feet of torque, and it's mated to a 10-speed automatic. Here in Canada, the Aviator comes standard with 4-wheel drive, while in some other countries you can get a rear-wheel drive version of the Aviator. But how does it drive? Well, with the air suspension it has, it's pillowy soft. And you're not surprised by that, because it's a Lincoln with air suspension. Should it be anything other than pillowy soft? Probably not. I mean, let's be honest. The people that's going to be buying something like this is, well, they just want something comfortable. And that's exactly what they're getting here. The Aviator is comfortable. This power plant makes it feel like it can do a lot more because it does have some of that performance roots to it, as it is the same power plant as the Explorer ST. Now you might be thinking, oh, I've seen on like Instagram Reels or TikTok or whatever that Explorer STs are really, really quick, and with a Cobb tune and this and that, well, it can have like 800 horsepower. Well, yeah, the Explorer ST can do that. The Aviator can't. I actually reached out to Cobb because I wanted to see if that's even possible. It's not. The Aviator and the Explorer, while it's so similar, it's not the same. And, well, their access port, sure, you can plug it in, but it won't do anything to the Aviator. A little bit of a bummer. So you can't make a hot version of the Aviator if you wanted to. But for what it is, the 400 horsepower, it's sufficient. It's more than enough for everyday needs. Put your foot down. There's a bit of hustle to it. It takes a second. The 10-speed is a little bit more delayed than you may like, but that's totally fine because on everyday situation, this 10-speed is so silky smooth, you think it's a CVT. But that's what you want in a Lincoln. You want it to be comfortable. You want it to be inintrusive, and that's exactly what you're getting here. If you're inclined to, you throw into some corners and, I mean, it's fine, but it doesn't feel like a BMW X5 or something sporty like that. Yes, while this powertrain is rear-wheel biased, it doesn't give you that benefit of, well, just a dynamic chassis to play around with. It's not for that. yeah, you can put it into sport mode, which does take a second for it to go into, and it does hustle when you want it to, but it doesn't firm up the ride. The steering isn't any better. It just doesn't make for, well, a sportier experience that you may want if you're looking for an actual sporty SUV. But that being said, it's a Lincoln. You're not buying this because you want a sporty SUV. You're buying this to be comfortable. And with a Blue Cruise, the massaging seats, you can cover vast distances in like the utmost comfort. It's quiet in here. The seats are just the best seats. You can be superbly comfortable in here. You close the panoramic roof and it just darkens the entire cabin. Your kids, your family, everyone in the back is asleep. You're trying to nod off a little, but Blue Cruise is there to save you. That's what the Lincoln can do. Overall, the Aviator is actually a really solid vehicle. I mean, the base Aviator starts at like 80,000 Canadian, which is about $10,000 or so more than the Explorer ST. And with the things that it comes with, it makes sense that it's about 10 grand more than that. Aspect here is a little bit more because it's just shy of $100,000 Canadian. Sure, I get a lot more with it, but is it worth that extra bit? Now, when you compare this to like the German rivals, like the BMW X7 or the Mercedes GLS, this is very much a bargain. But this is probably more closely cross-shopped with like the XT6 or the Buick Enclave. The XT6 is getting killed off and it's been thoroughly aged. And the Enclave, you can only get it with a 2-liter turbo. This has, well, a lot more power. This is a much more potent powertrain. Though I must admit, the Buick interior is a lot more flashy than this. But the materials in this, I would say, is comparable. It's comparable. But let me know what your thoughts are. You know, would you pick the Aviator? Is it just, well, a little bit of old dog, no new tricks kind of situation? Or would you just, I mean, get something bigger? Go with the Navigator. Because that's, let's be honest, the vehicle that Lincoln is probably best known for at this point anyways. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. Like the video if you do. Subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll catch you next time. Take care.